So sometimes I do this. I have these little guests. I have the surprise guests. The reason I think you guys would hit it off is because I saw that you tweeted a video from this woman, Monica Cruz. We're just going to play this video and then we'll bring in Monica and we'll continue the discussion with Esperanza and Monica.
Did AOC just tell me to check my privilege for criticizing Biden? The way she's talking, you would think we'd done all of the things our people have been struggling and demanding. We did it, Joe. It's done. The struggle's over. Haha. Okay, the rents have not been canceled yet. The migrant detention centers are still open. Military spending has not been cut. Police are still killing Black people. The minimum wage has not been raised. We still have so much to struggle for. In a recent interview, AOC was asked her take on critiques that the Biden administration is not progressive enough. She said that this is a privileged critique and that anyone saying this should think about what that message sends to the Black and brown and undocumented people in their lives. And it's like, number one, you're assuming that all people making this critique are white progressives. Wrong. Secondly, it was Biden himself who said in front of a room full of Wall Street donors that nothing would fundamentally change if he became president. Correct me if I'm wrong, but at that same time, AOC had the exact same critique of Biden and was campaigning for Bernie Sanders. All in all, you're telling me that the 140 million Americans living in or near the poverty line, or the 1 in 3 American families that are food insecure, or the millions of people without health insurance in the middle of a global pandemic are privileged if they critique the Biden administration for not taking stronger measures to stamp out these inequalities. Suddenly, we aren't allowed to criticize the people in public office voted in to represent our needs and interests. It's just also patronizing, as if we're supposed to believe that adding a bienvenidos sign at the immigrant detention centers at the southern border and sending Haitians a message that they shouldn't come to the US while supporting a literal dictatorship there is supposed to be progressive measures and somehow better than Trump's violent rhetoric. It's all the same thing on the ground. I mean, it's just the hypocrisy for me. Now all of a sudden that Biden is in the White House, we're just supposed to sit down and be quiet? I think not, especially as things have not gotten better for our people anyway.
Monica Cruz, and she is a producer and labor beat reporter at Breakthrough News, and you can follow her on Twitter at Palante Mami. And here we go. Welcome, Monica. Hello.
Hey, happy to be here. I cut off my own forehead. What's up?
Oh, don't invisibilize yourself. How are you?
I'm great, Katie. How are you? Thanks for asking me to join so last minute.
Yeah, of course. That's one of my specialties. I really, I get inspired. The spirit takes me, and I think, oh, this would be a good combination. And then I remembered, I was like, oh, Esperanza tweeted a good thing about this. I can't remember what your tweet was, but I retweeted your tweet, Esperanza, because I liked it. And it was about this video. And welcome to the show. And I've been wanting to have you on ever since we met at Breakthrough News on the actual set there, right before the pandemic. Oh, my God. It was Super Tuesday. Terrible
we launched
time.
The week that the whole of New York City shut down, so that was a wild ride. But we've been figuring it out ever since, and ass on the way. We appreciate your support.
And what inspired you to do that video, and what has the response been to that so far?
Right. So, AOC, I've had respect for over the years for a lot of the things that she's done in terms of really becoming a more popular and well-known face of the progressive movement. And I think in the beginning of her career, doing a really excellent job of reaching out to particularly young Black and brown folks and working class folks overall, getting people really excited and galvanized, to vote for the Democrats. And, I'm from Jersey originally, but I've done a lot. I lived in the Bronx for a while, for many years, and did a lot of organizing there, my political organizing, and which kind of warped into the work I'm doing now with Breakthrough. Started off in New York City, and a lot of experiences that I've had, in the Bronx where she's from, and to hear her, say a lot of Can we curse on here? Can we curse on
Oh
here?
yeah, of course, you got
Oh,
to.
yay.
Only
That's what I
appropriate.
thought. Balls out, Katie. Nah, but just a lot of dumb shit over the years, which, I'm not going to be surprised about, knowing she's a member of the, she's a Democratic Party member, and that's what she has to, that's her job, right? She's a politician at the end of the day. But these comments to me were particularly frustrating and infuriating to me, and frankly disrespectful to me in a lot of ways, really, in that you're telling me that the only people who have critiques of Biden are not Black and brown and undocumented folks, because she's saying that the message that you're sending by critiquing the Biden administration is a bad message to those people, right? And so that's A. And B, you're telling me that all of a sudden disagreement and critique is not a part of politics, and that we essentially just need to shut up and sit back and just let the squad and whoever is making a fuss, and some sort of empathetic performance over some issue impacting our communities, this week or next, and we're just supposed to just let y'all play the theatrics on Capitol Hill. And I think people are really tired of it. We're living in a time where 1 in 3 Americans are struggling to pay their bills or put food on the table every single week. We're talking about record homelessness, record hunger, record unemployment, while not a dime has been dented in the military and police budget of this country. And we've also seen this unprecedented movement against racism really shaking the core of what this country was founded on last year. And out of all times, for this to be the time for us to sit back is such a lie, and such a just fallacious message to send. And I think now is just, there's been a lot of critiques, conversations at, the office, wherever, in different political spaces. Obviously, left Twitter never shuts the fuck up. So it's like there's already been these conversations had that, okay, AOC is backpedaling on everything. Okay, she's keeping that hard for the establishment, da da da. But I think this was really timing that was really perfect, to just really point out the problems and the danger in what she's saying. And again, just the disappointment, like, come on, like, so many people listen to you. And I think that's why this video exploded in the way that it did, because I was saying what a lot of people have wanted to say, but we're having this person literally telling us, stop critiquing. Like, I always saw them coworkers say, I'm like, she be sounding like Cardi B on her live streams, like defending herself. Like, I'm like, girl, like, you are a politician. Like, if you put like a fraction of as much energy as you do to like rolling your eyes around and going off to defend yourself and the Democrats on live as you did to actually put forward the action and the kicking and screaming you've been promising for years in Congress, like, I wouldn't have had as much to say. So yeah, I was that was a long thing, but I was kind of nervous putting out the video, to be honest, because I've never done that kind of style thing, like, for breakthrough. Like, I've done that in my personal life. People who have known me, comrades and stuff in the movement for years know IG story ranting, was my thing, in college in the 2016 elections. But I'm like, okay, I'm 27, I'm grown. Let me stop going off on Instagram every day. But now I'm like, shit, this is my job, so let me keep doing it, and people like it. So yeah, definitely more videos like that to come.
Yeah, now there's like no excuse. You can't not do that.
Right, I know. Now I need to be screaming with my hair in a mess every day.
You feel free to spitball them here if you want. You can do like a good, improv and fine tune them on your own IG. But yeah, Esperanza, what made you retweet that?
Yeah, so one, I just want to say, Monica, like, I loved your video because I think it's so important to critique AOC and the rest of the squad, because I think that, they run on the promise of, moving Congress left, moving Biden left, etc. But the only thing they really do is move us to the right. AOC, I actually don't believe now this might anger some people. I don't believe she was ever really that well-intentioned. I think that she is a careerist and an opportunist. She ran on this narrative of being this normal working class girl, bartender, she was a professional consultant. She was a business incubator. She was a professional organizer. Like, she was not just this everyday normal bartender. And even like when you hear her talk about socialism, I mean, didn't she say socialism was what we have in the UK or in Canada or something, while repeating US imperialist lies about the USSR, and other countries? She met with the fascist coup leaders in Bolivia, despite calling what happened in Bolivia a coup. And then, she stages this performance in front of one of the immigrant detention centers where she purposefully dresses in all white and leans over and cries. Yet you have our own people being, sleeping on the dirt under a bridge with foil blankets on top of each other like cattle. And where are her fake tears? All she does is go on Instagram and obscure the situation by saying, oh, it's not a border crisis, it's an imperialism crisis, it's a carceral crisis. Well, of course we know it's both of those things, but why are you not holding Biden accountable in the same way you held Trump accountable? And it's because she is ultimately committed to the Democratic Party more than she is committed to us, who she's supposed to serve.
Wow. And you thought Monica was hard.
I thought Monica was on fire. I think you need to do
I meant
more
like
of
not
these
you.
videos.
I meant everybody. We thought Monica was bringing the
they can
critique,
continue.
but
The
no, that's
flame
good.
No, that's so on point. Yeah, with that imperialism thing this week too, I was like, just to put the cherry on top of the cake, whatever. Like, you're serious.
With the comment about the border.
With her live stream with the it's an imperialism crisis. It's not just a border crisis, etc. Right. I'm like, can you stop just like grabbing words like from the left, like just to throw back and support what you're standing for and what you're voting for at the end of the day? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, and thank you so much, Esperanza, for bringing that up, the pictures with the coup makers in Bolivia. Like, are you serious? Like, let's talk about Bolivia for a sec. We're talking about an indigenous majority country, a country trying to free itself from the ravages of colonialism. We're talking about a popular movement for workers, and just the way that these progressives are able to use words that come out of radical spaces. It reminds me, in the way, I think in a larger way, how identity politics has now become a tool of the Democrats, the way that they weaponize it, the Me Too movement. Like, oh, we just gonna forget all the allegations against Biden now? Okay, Terry don't exist? Okay, then. I guess I was in the wrong world when that happened, but yeah.
Right, and we also can't forget about how AOC was echoing right-wing Trumpian language about Venezuela, right? And pushing, for regime change. So when she says, oh, this is an imperialism crisis, it's like, well, why do you keep blurting out imperialist propaganda if you understand that?
Right, exactly. It's just like, why are you just saying? And it's just like, y'all take us for fools. Now I'm really gonna start going off, because it's just like how these politicians really take us for a bunch of dummies. And I think that's what my video struck so well with too, because with people too, because it's just like, we are paying attention to what you're doing and saying. We live this struggle every day. As much as you will go on Instagram and polemicize about the struggle, we live this shit. No one knows it better than we do, miss. So it's just like, to sit there and use our struggle as a way to build your platform, to co-opt words, essentially, from radical movements, from real movements. Like, we have an imperialist trying to talk to us about imperialism and then tell us that we're privileged for critiquing it. Girl, bye. Like, that's just the end of that conversation. Like,
it's funny because like the Bernie Bro narrative that some on the left would like mock with me, right, with all of us, and we would call out. Now we see that being used a little bit by some on the left against people calling this out, right? So it's like, oh, it's easy to criticize this. She's a woman of color, and I also don't like those things have to be taken into account. Like it is a different thing to see like I mean, that to be taken into account, the question is how far and to what extent, right? Because like it is different to be yelling at like if I'm yelling at another like white woman, that's different from a white man yelling at a like woman of color. I mean, or a white woman. It's all like they're different dynamics, but we also can't like we can acknowledge that, and then we can also look at it from a strategic and optics perspective, but we also can't let that be the only thing guiding our critiques, right? Like there is policy there. But it's very, it's great. Like when people shatter that stereotype of how it's like, it's so privileged to be pushing people when like, obviously if you care about any of this stuff, you know that people have to be pushed. Like even if you like, this is what's interesting. It's like, so Esperanza, you came out with I keep saying your name like it's a Yiddish word. I'm like Esperanza. You came out saying that like AOC, you don't think she's well-intentioned. And then it's like, even if you do think she's well-intentioned, don't you want her to be pushed? Like if you know how politics works, what do you think is going to happen? She needs you. Even if she's a saint, she needs the people to be pushing her.
Yeah. And, I do just want to say this is what I think is a huge, missing piece of the DSA electoral strategy, which is that, the DSA label in many ways has been more helpful to AOC and the squad in order to take a segment of progressive voters to vote for them. It's been more helpful to their careers than it has been to those of us in the working class, because the DSA does not exert power over her. There's no democratic committee or organization that's able to hold her accountable. AOC does what she wants, uses the label of democratic socialist when she wants, and the DSA can do nothing about it. And if they can, they definitely haven't been.
Yeah. Leslie, I never thought you'd be. I feel like you're a resident like AOC defender. I never thought you'd be.
Since when?
No, I'm saying relative to these women. No, it's a joke about how fierce they are.
Katie, I don't know her. I don't know her. I'm sorry. I don't know who this person is that y'all are talking about. She sounds like she's got some problems. I don't know her, Katie. I don't know who you talk.
But Leslie, I've seen you encounter this a lot.
No, yeah, like anytime you, like I actually had to unfollow AOC because when her politics started getting worse, I was responding to her like I respond to any other dipshit senator who says something and just say something mean, but then people will get mad at me because all the people who follow me like her. So I was just like, I just have to unfollow her and not engage with her like I would like that guy, the guy in Hawaii, Brian Schatz or whatever, the white senator from Hawaii, who's a complete dipshit on Twitter. I make fun of him all the time. No one ever gets mad at me for that.
Right. Yeah. So he gets to be your catharsis.
Yes, but I can't do it to AOC. But I was very proud, surprised by the positive reaction your video got, Monica, and all the haters didn't come for you. Yeah, I think if you had put a video out like that about a month before, maybe it would have been a different story.
Right. The timing was key with that. I appreciate that for sure, because there's no, I don't get pleasure out of going off on individuals and people within the Democratic parties. I mean, maybe I shouldn't. I saw Katie here like a little. That's true. Okay, maybe a little bit.
No, I do. Yeah.
But it gets tired. I'm just really grateful for my political home for sure and my political formation, because and the experiences that I've had building with people, building with workers of all backgrounds, and a plethora of issues. And I think that is at the end of the day what helps ground people, and that's what people need to realize in these Twitter streets. Come on, now get off there. There's a whole real world out there waiting for us to organize. We got a world to win. Let's go. Period.